The sudden jolt, a violent lurch of the ferry against the unforgiving waves, tossed me against the railing, the salt spray stinging my eyes, blurring the already chaotic scene. It wasn't the storm that truly shook me, though, it was him. Elias, standing there soaked, his dark hair plastered to his forehead, his eyes, those impossibly vibrant, storm-gray eyes, fixed on me with a raw intensity that felt like a physical touch. I'd never seen him before, not on this island, not anywhere. Yet there was a strange, unsettling familiarity in his gaze, a whisper of something known, something buried deep. He yelled something, his voice lost to the howling wind, but his lips formed words that seemed to cut through the noise, words that felt like a lifeline in the swirling tempest. "You're the one they warned me about." Warned about me? I was a simple tourist, escaping the suffocating city, seeking solace in the remote, windswept beauty of this forgotten archipelago. And now a stranger, a man with eyes that held the weight of untold stories, was speaking of warnings. The ferry, a metal beast fighting a losing battle against the sea, pitched again, sending a wave crashing over the deck. We were thrown together, our hands grasping the same railing for support, the cold metal a stark contrast to the heat that radiated from him, a heat that seemed to burn through the layers of my soaked clothing. He held my gaze, his grip tightening, his knuckles white. "They said you'd come. They said you'd change everything." Change what? What insane prophecy was this? I was a writer, a quiet observer of life, not some harbinger of chaos, and then the real shock hit. He leaned in, his breath warm against my ear, and whispered not in English, but in a language I hadn't heard since childhood, a language my grandmother used to sing in her lullabies, a language of secrets and forgotten rituals, a language that spoke of a destiny I thought I'd escaped. "You are the Callisti, the one who brings the golden apple, the one who will find the lost eudaimonia." My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat against the roaring storm. How could he know? How could he speak those words, words I'd buried deep within myself, words I'd never spoken aloud? The ferry lurched violently again, and a section of the railing snapped, sending us both tumbling into the churning sea. As I plunged into the icy depths, the last thing I saw was Elias, his eyes still locked on mine, a strange, almost serene expression on his face, as if he'd been expecting this. And in the chaos, amongst the salty sting and the desperate fight for air, came a realization. He hadn't been warned about me, he was waiting for me. He had been waiting for the Callisti. The frigid water, a merciless embrace, pulled me down, down into the inky blackness. Panic clawed at my throat, a silent scream trapped within my lungs. I thrashed, my limbs flailing against the relentless current, but the weight of my soaked clothes dragged me deeper. Just as the darkness threatened to consume me entirely, a strong hand gripped my arm, pulling me upwards with an almost supernatural force. Elias. He was a creature of the storm, a dark silhouette against the turbulent surface, his eyes glowing with an otherworldly intensity. He pulled me onto a small, battered lifeboat, a vessel that seemed impossibly fragile against the raging sea. Gasping for air, I looked at him, my mind reeling. How? I managed to choke out, but he simply placed a finger to my lips, silencing me. The silence, however, was not peaceful. The storm raged around us, a symphony of destruction, and the boat, a mere speck in the vast expanse of the ocean, was tossed and turned like a leaf in a hurricane. He produced a small, intricately carved wooden box from his waterlogged coat, opening it to reveal a single luminous golden apple. It pulsed with a soft, warm light, casting an ethereal glow on his face. "This," he said, his voice now a low, resonant rumble, "is eudaimonia. It has been waiting for you." I stared at the apple, its light hypnotic, its presence radiating a sense of ancient power. He looked at me, his eyes filled with a desperate urgency. "You must protect it. They will come for it." "Who?" I asked, my voice trembling. "The Sentinels," he replied, his gaze hardening. "They have been searching for the Callisti for centuries, waiting for the day when the golden apple would be found. They will stop at nothing to take it." He handed me the apple, his touch lingering on my hand, sending a jolt of electricity through my veins. The lifeboat, battered and broken, was being pushed towards a jagged, black cliff face. As we approached the cliff, a hidden entrance, a dark, gaping maw in the rock, revealed itself. Elias steered the boat into the darkness, the sound of the storm fading behind us. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of damp earth and something else, something ancient and metallic. The tunnel opened into a vast cavern lit by a network of glowing crystals embedded in the walls. In the center of the cavern, a group of figures stood, their faces obscured by hooded cloaks. They turned towards us, their eyes glowing with an eerie yellow light. Elias placed himself between me and the figures. "They were waiting," he said, his voice low, "waiting for you and for the apple, and they knew you were coming because I told them. I am one of them." My heart stopped. I had trusted him, had felt a connection that defied logic, and he had betrayed me. He was the one who had led me here to this dark, hidden place, to these mysterious figures. He was the one who had brought me to the sun. The golden apple, warm in my grasp, seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy, its light casting long, distorted shadows across the cavern walls. The revelation hit me like a physical blow, the air thick with betrayal and the chilling realization that I was trapped, a pawn in a game I didn't understand. The hooded figures, the sentinels, began to move, their silent advance a terrifying ballet of predatory intent. Elias, the man who had pulled me from the raging sea, the man whose eyes held the secrets of ancient prophecies, stood before them, his posture rigid, his face a mask of cold determination. "She is the Callisti," he announced, his voice echoing through the cavern, "and the apple is hers. You will not take it." A collective hiss rippled through the sentinels, a sound that sent shivers down my spine. One of them, taller than the rest, stepped forward, his face still hidden in the shadows of his cloak. "The apple belongs to the Order," he said, his voice a raspy whisper that seemed to slither into my ears. "It is the key to our power, the source of our immortality. The Callisti is an anomaly, a threat to our existence." He raised a hand, and the glowing crystals in the walls flickered, casting grotesque shadows that danced and writhed around us. The air crackled with energy, a palpable tension that made my skin crawl. Elias drew a long, slender blade from beneath his coat, its surface shimmering with an otherworldly light. "You will not touch her," he repeated, his voice unwavering. The sentinels surged forward, their movements swift and silent, their eyes burning with a malevolent hunger. The cavern erupted in a chaotic dance of light and shadow, the clash of steel against steel, the guttural cries of the sentinels, the desperate gasps of Elias. I watched, paralyzed with fear, as he fought, his movements fluid and precise, his blade a blur of deadly grace. He was a warrior, a protector, a stark contrast to the man who had spoken of prophecies and destiny. But then a twist. During the fight, Elias' blade, a weapon of light, suddenly flickered, its glow dimming. He stumbled, his movements faltering, and a sentinel seized the opportunity, plunging a dark, barbed blade into his side. He crumpled to the ground, his eyes, those storm-gray eyes that had held so much mystery, now filled with pain. And then another shock. The sentinel who had struck him removed his hood, revealing a face that was a mirror image of Elias. "Brother," the sentinel hissed, his voice filled with a cold, triumphant malice. "You have always been weak. Your sentimentality will be your undoing." Elias, bleeding and broken, looked up at his doppelganger, his eyes filled with a mixture of pain and regret. "You were always the favored one, the one who embraced the darkness," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "But you are wrong. I am not weak. I am the one who chose love, the one who chose her." And with his last breath he reached out, his fingers brushing against my hand, the golden apple still clutched in my grasp. "Run," he whispered, his voice fading into the silence of the cavern. "Find eudaimonia, find your true path." The cavern, once a place of ancient mystery, now felt like a tomb. I was alone, surrounded by enemies, holding a power that could destroy or save the world. And the man who had brought me here, the man who had betrayed me and then saved me, lay dying at my feet. I had to run. I had to find eudaimonia. I had to understand what it all meant. And I had to know why Elias, a sentinel, had chosen to betray his own kind for me. The weight of the golden apple, now a burning ember in my hand, was a stark reminder of the impossible situation I found myself in. The cavern, once a place of cryptic beauty, now echoed with the silent threat of the sentinels. They watched me, their yellow eyes glowing in the dim light, their forms shifting shadows against the crystalline walls. I knew I couldn't stay. Elia's sacrifice, his dying plea, resonated within me, a desperate command to escape, to understand, to survive. I turned, the apple's light illuminating a narrow passage hidden behind a cluster of shimmering crystals. It was a dark, treacherous path, but it was my only chance. As I fled, the sentinels moved, their silent pursuit a chilling testament to their relentless determination. The passage twisted and turned, leading me deeper into the earth, the air growing thick and heavy with the scent of damp stone and ancient magic. The golden apple pulsed, its light guiding me through the darkness, a beacon in the labyrinthine depths. I stumbled, my feet aching, my lungs burning, but I pressed on, driven by a desperate need to understand the truth. The passage opened into a vast underground chamber, a hidden oasis bathed in the soft, ethereal glow of bioluminescent fungi. A crystal-clear pool reflected the light, creating a mesmerizing spectacle of shimmering colors. In the center of the pool, a single ancient tree grew, its branches reaching towards the cavern ceiling like gnarled skeletal fingers. And then another twist. As I approached the tree, I saw it. The eudaimonia, not a place, but a person. A woman, her form ethereal, her skin shimmering with the same golden light as the apple. She was suspended in the pool, her eyes closed, her face serene. It was then I realized the golden apple was not the object of the search, it was a key to awaken her. As I got closer, her eyes opened, and they were the same storm gray as Elia's. "You are the Callisti," she said, her voice a melodious whisper that resonated deep within my soul. "You have found me." She reached out, her hand mirroring the gesture Elias had made before he died. "You have been brought here not by chance but by design. Elias, my son, knew you would come. He knew you were the only one who could awaken me." My mind reeled. Elias was her son, the sentinel who betrayed his own kind, the man who spoke of prophecies, was the son of eudaimonia. The weight of this revelation was almost unbearable. "He loved you," she said, her voice filled with a gentle sadness. "He saw in you a reflection of the world we once knew, a world of love and compassion, a world the sentinels have forgotten." She explained that the sentinels were once her guardians, protectors of eudaimonia, but they had become corrupted, their hearts hardened by centuries of isolation and power. They sought to control her, to use her power for their own selfish ends. Elias, however, had seen the darkness that had consumed them, and he had chosen a different path, a path of love, a path that led him to me. But then a chilling realization struck me. "If he was your son and a sentinel, then the one who killed him," I whispered. Eudaimonia looked at me, her eyes filled with sorrow. "Yes," she said, "his twin brother, the favored one, the one who embraced the darkness. He was always jealous of Elias' connection to me. He sought my power, and to have that he needed to kill his brother, the one I truly loved." The cavern, once a sanctuary, now pulsed with a chilling undercurrent of familial betrayal, the echoes of a brother's murder resonating in the stillness. Eudaimonia's words hung in the air, a stark testament to the darkness that had consumed the sentinels, a darkness that had driven one brother to kill another. I understood then the raw intensity in Elias' eyes, the desperate urgency in his actions. It wasn't just about protecting the apple, it was about protecting me, about preventing his brother from claiming the power that would corrupt him further. He had seen the love I carried, a love that mirrored the world Eudaimonia spoke of, a world the sentinels had lost, and he had chosen that love even at the cost of his own life. Eudaimonia reached out, her touch gentle, her fingers tracing the lines of my face. "You must awaken the memories of the sentinels," she said, her voice filled with a quiet strength. "You must show them the path they have strayed from. The golden apple is not a weapon, but a vessel of memory. It will show them what they have forgotten." She placed her hand over mine, the golden apple glowing brightly, its warmth spreading through my veins, filling me with a sense of purpose, a sense of belonging. The cavern began to shimmer, the crystalline walls dissolving into a swirling vortex of light and color. I felt myself being pulled into the vortex, into a realm of memories, a realm where the sentinels' past lay buried, waiting to be unearthed. I saw them as they once were, guardians of eudaimonia, their hearts filled with compassion, their eyes shining with a light that mirrored the golden apple. I saw the moment their hearts began to harden, the moment they chose power over love, the moment they turned away from eudaimonia's teachings. I saw the twin, Elias' brother, the one who craved power, whispering his poison, poisoning the minds of the sentinels, turning them into the creatures they had become. I saw Elias, a child, always trying to remind his brother what they were supposed to be, what they were supposed to stand for. I saw the moment Elias knew he was going to lose his brother to darkness. I saw the moment he knew he would find me, the Callisti. Then I was back in the cavern, the memories swirling around me, the faces of the sentinels etched in my mind. They stood before me, their yellow eyes now filled with a flicker of uncertainty, a hint of the light they had lost. The golden apple pulsed, its light illuminating their faces, revealing the pain, the regret, the longing for a world they had forgotten. I looked at the twin, the one who had killed his brother, and I saw not a monster but a broken soul, a soul consumed by jealousy and power. And then a realization struck me, a final devastating twist. He wasn't jealous of Elias' love for eudaimonia, he was jealous of Elias' love for me. He had seen the connection between us, the spark of something real, something pure, and he had sought to destroy it, to possess the light that he himself could never find. The love that they could not hide was not just between Elias and I, but was the source of the twins' hate. The title, From Strangers to Lovers, Our Love Was Real and We Could Hide It, LGBTQ Journeys, was not only about a romantic love, but about the love between siblings and the love that was lost. The sentinels, seeing the memories, began to weep, their tears reflecting the golden light, washing away the darkness that had consumed them. The cavern, once a place of fear and betrayal, now shimmered with a renewed sense of hope, a promise of redemption.